Hey guys, welcome to my abstract watercolor tutorial. Thanks so much for watching. Today we're going to go over how to use real watercolor paints on nails to get great abstract designs. I love these designs. They're super easy to do. Watercolor is super forgiving, so you don't have to be perfect with it. And I'm like crazy with trying to get straight lines, and I'm picky. So watercolor is a great way to just like let the artwork flow, you know what I mean? So let's get into it today. Make sure you hit subscribe up top. That way you get notifications when I do more tutorials. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so I'm going to start with a white base coat here, and I recommend getting a white base coat that's not like super like cool white. This is Marshmallow Gin by Le Chat, and I really like this white because it is more of an off-white, soft white. I would even call it maybe like a milky white. So I really like this as a background for doing art, any kind of art, even if you're using like art gels. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking a tip, and you can see it's just on a stand. I got this from Amazon, a little stand kit. And I am just going to lay an even coat over this plastic tip. Now you want to make sure that you get all of the sides and the side walls and the tip really evenly. And the nice thing about working with the plastic tips is that you can flip it around, and you can move it any way you need to get the areas that you want to get. I kind of played with this more than I really needed to. If you watch, you can let it level, let it self-level for a few seconds. I noticed there was a little pooling happening at the tip, so I try to fix it, but you'll see I just go in and redo it anyway. So I'd recommend letting it settle, and just remember you're always going to do a second coat anyway. So if it's not perfect, you want to make sure it's smooth the first time, but you can always float your gel over on the second one. So I'm just speeding through this so I can show you when we move into the watercolors. I'm doing 2 accent nails here of the watercolor, 1 for each hand. So I like to do the accent nails separate from the base, or sorry, not the base, I guess like the solid color nails. And that was just because like it was in a creative flow, and like stopping and going to the other colors was like getting me out of the flow. So I was like, I'm gonna just go straight into the artwork, and that actually worked for me really well. You'll see me here using a matte coat. You have to use a matte top coat to be able to do the watercolor nails. I love, love, love the Luxa Velveteen matte coat. It doesn't stain, it doesn't wear off, it will last weeks and weeks and weeks. This stuff is my absolute favorite matte top coat ever, ever, ever. Highly, highly recommend it. So again, you have to do a coat of the matte and then do the watercolors. Then you can finish it up with a matte finish. So do another coat of the matte top coat over the watercolors, or you could even do a shiny coat. I like the Luxa Shine top coat, and that way you can do either stick with the matte, or you can finish off with the shiny look after you've done the watercolor. Here you'll just see I'm playing with colors. I'm seeing what kind of blues and things I want to use. Watercolors actually look a little bit darker in the pan than they do once you mix them with water. So I'm just using a paper towel here, putting some water, touching the paints, and seeing what kind of vibe I want to go with. So that's what I'm doing here. You'll see that I like go out of frame because I'm such a clown, but this one is the blue. What I recommend doing, start with the pigment, start with like a solid little spot of whatever color. I chose blue. Add some water, and you can see how light blue that is. Dip your brush into the blue pigment again and put it on the water, and you'll see how it just blossoms, and that's just how watercolor works. Take your brush, wipe it off on like a paper towel, dab up the water, and you can see that pigment coming with it. Let the water dry before you go back in with the color. Otherwise, you're going to just remove the color that you put down in the first step. So you can see here, adding pigment, taking it away as needed. There I am being a clown, getting out of focus, out of frame again. But what I'm doing is I'm just moving that pigment around, adding with the paint, adding water to soften it, move things around. Put the water in the shape that you want your final shape to be in, and then work with the pigments. And you can see I'm going back and forth, adding pigment. You can move this nail around, let that pigment flow with the water until it dries, and it'll keep moving and keep settling. I kind of like it to settle in like one corner, but you can see if you let it settle, that's when you get that nice dimension for the outlines, and it looks like two shapes here on top of each other. Be careful not to add too much water when you do the second shape. Otherwise, you're going to just erase what you did before. So if you don't like the design that you did, how you get it off is just use water, and that erases it. Be careful not to add too much water. And what you can do is just wipe your brush on a lint-free wipe, or wipe the whole nail with a lint-free wipe if you don't like it and you want to start over. I'm going into my second color here. I like the look of overlapping it a little bit with that blue, again adding some more dimension. You can play with the pigment amount. You can put more pigment in certain areas. You can see here I'm letting the water flow off to that right side. I went out of frame, but what I did was I did the same thing with the black color and kind of had them bleed into each other, and that gives it some nice dimension. Like I said, you can leave it how it is, and you can do a matte top coat or a shiny top coat over this. I ended up doing a matte top coat, and then I did some artwork with art gels that are shiny. So it's a nice contrast because the matte, dry, you cure it matte, and then the art gels you can put over top the matte, cure, and you don't need a top coat over art gels. So that's super fun to play with. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I just got some new watercolor brushes. This is just a little like cleanup brush that I have that I got from Amazon, but I'm going to try to do some finer detail work with these watercolor brushes I got. So I'm super excited. I'll show you how those look. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Follow me at Tooth and Nails. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.